In this question, you see a very interesting diagram. This is called a pedigree. Let me draw it a bit for you. Right, now that's what you see on the diagram. And the questions are, 4.1 is using the letters B, big B and small b, write down the genotype of the individuals numbered 1 to 6. Now to have a look at these individuals. Let's look at number 1 and 2 to start off with. Number 2, the only way she can have white coat is to have 2 small b's. If there was a large B, then this individual, this female, would have black fur. But to have white fur, she has to have 2 small b's. Now, this individual here, this male, he must have black fur. So he has black fur, so he must have at least one dominant gene, a capital B. And now the question is it heterozygous, big B, small b, or homozygous, big B, big B? Well, let's take a look at the offspring. Let's take a look at this. This offspring over here would have to be small b, small b. The only way you can have white fur is to be double recessive homozygous. But you have to have a gene from one of each parents. So let's say, for example, this B, one of those 2 B's was from the mom. That means this B had to come from dad. So he has to be heterozygous. That means this individual here also has to be heterozygous, because the only way it can be black is having a big B, but he has to have a gene from mom, so it'll be big B, small b. Now let's be clever here. Let's just have a look at all those with white fur. So let's just scan across the whole thing and assign them a genotype. So there's white fur. The only way to have white fur, small b, small b. Small b, small b. Small b, small b. Small b, small b. So we've done all the white fur. And we've seen that all of them are homozygous. That helps us a lot. First of all, if you look back at the questions, we've answered questions 1, 2, and 3. Right, then it says 4 and 5. So 4 and 5, number 4 has got black fur, but it still has to have one of its mother's genes. So it has to have a small b there, like that. And exactly the same goes for this female over here. She's black, so let's put it over here, big B, but she has a gene from her mom, but she also has she'll have to have a small b from her mom. She has to have something from mom. So she is definitely heterozygous. So that solves another problem we've done for in number 5. So we have a heterozygous cross. Right, now let's come down to their offspring. Just bear in mind that when Mendel did this, remember, when he crossed a heterozygous big T, small t, with another big T, small t, he ended up with that ratio of 3:1, 3 talls to 1 short. And the genotype of 1 big T, 2 big T, small t's, and 1 small t, small t. Bearing that in mind, let's take a look at individual number 6. So individual number 6 has to be black. So big B, and same as 7, big B, and same with 8, big B. They all definitely have to have black, big B at least, to make them have black fur. However, number 6 could have got a big B from mom. So the possibilities is that she is homozygous with black fur, big B, big B. But it's also possible that she got a small b from mom, or the small b from dad, and vice versa. So this individual could also be big B, small b. That is still a possibility. We'll get to that just now when we answer the question. Number 7 is exactly the same. It has to have a big B, but it could have a big B or it could be big B, small b. In other words, these two are exactly the same. Homozygous or heterozygous. Homozygous or heterozygous. This particular one will be exactly the same. Big B, small b. Going back to the question says numbers 1 to 6. So they're not really interested in questions 7 and 8. So let's go and answer the question. Over here, we would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is part of your answer, never forgetting to answer the question and not just do your working out. So, number 1, we got heterozygous. Number 2, homozygous, recessive. Number 3, homozygous, recessive. Just by the way, this has to be small b over here because of that. Number 4 has to be heterozygous. Number 5, heterozygous. And number 6, now this is the interesting part. You have to do this. You have to say homozygous, big B, or heterozygous, big B, small b. Now there's a very interesting thing. You have to say that it's both. It could be that or that. If you just write big B, you are right, but you won't get your marks because you must explain that it could also be heterozygous. Right, that answers question number 1, 4.1. If we look at 4.2, they ask for the numbers of the 3 individuals numbered 6, 7, and 8, what fraction would you expect to be heterozygous for black fur? So 6, 7, and 8, for black fur, we need to consider the following Punnett diagram. So let's just cross these two and skip straight. We're going to go straight from heterozygous cross to the Punnett diagram. So it'll be big B, small b, and big B, small b. So if we did the whole Punnett, it would be big B, big B, small b, over here, big B, small b. But I'm going to stop there because the question says, of those with black fur, 6, 7, and 8, in other words, they're not including that one. So we're not interested in that one. Of these, what fraction would you expect to be heterozygous for black fur? So to get a fraction, we would say, well, there are only 3 here. So the answer would be 2 out of 3 would be heterozygous for black fur. 1, 2, 3. So we must remember to ignore this one because it's white fur. And they're only asking for 6, 7, and 8, those with black fur. Right. And then lastly, 4.3 is what fraction of the female animals in the 3 generations is homozygous for white coats. So let's count all the females in the 3 generations. So there's the 1 generation, the 2 generation, and the 3 generations. Let's count all the females. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 females in total. And how many of those would be homozygous for white coats? So let's count the homozygous white females. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 over 9. But that's not the simplest way to write that. So we can write that 2 over 3. So 2/3 of the females will have homozygous white fur. And that'll be answering the questions. Now, if you remember, Mr. E says your 3 golden rules for answering genetics questions. Number 1, write down what you know. And we could interpret that as me writing down these genotypes next to each one of these blocks before we even answer the questions as part of writing down what you know. And then working neatly. Well, I hope I've worked neatly enough for you. And lastly, and this is this part over here, is answering the question. Now, because I'm doing it on this board, it's quite important to actually number it as they ask. So this would be 4.1, and this would be part of your answer, 4.2. They actually aren't asking you to do this Punnett diagram, but it helps you get to the 2/3. If you just went straight to the 2/3, you'd get your marks. But this is part of answering the question, and right down here, this is 4.3. And that's very, very important. Often people stop over there, they stop at a beautiful, nice diagram, but they forget to answer the questions. Don't forget to answer the questions. That's the third golden rule. Write down what you know, work super duper neatly, and then answer the questions. Right, that's question 4.
Okay.